Have you heard of the new book on Amazon's ebook Kindle called Murder by Deed? It's an interesting read, and not just for native Clevelanders. Let me read you the blurb, the product description. 3 bizarre and seemingly unrelated murders occur in Cleveland. Why? By whom? What do these murders and victims share in common? Molly Tate and Detective Deborah Stanton, an unlikely pair, end up working together to answer these questions. Molly Tate works as an investigator for the Humane Society in Cleveland, and Detective Stanton investigates murders in Cleveland's District 2. So what brings them together? Initially, it's Molly's belief that there is a connection between some animal abuse crimes her office is investigating and the murdered victims under Stanton's watch. Amidst murder, love slowly and unexpectedly blooms. Tate and Stanton, both from different yet troubled worlds, form an unlikely partnership to solve these unsettling crimes as they both strive to separate themselves from their ex-lovers and move forward in their love lives. So this is set in Cleveland. It's not just for Clevelanders, but for those of you who are Clevelanders or former Clevelanders, you might recognize and appreciate some of the sites that are mentioned in there, both past and present. It might be a good idea, too, to take a look at a few chapter samples before you buy it. It's $3.99. If you don't have a Kindle, and I don't have a Kindle, you don't have to. You can download free Kindle software. Just type in any search engine, download free Amazon Kindle software, and you can download it onto your PC, your laptop, and go ahead and purchase the book. Anyway, look at the reviews too. But I wanted to share with you at least a couple of chapters so that you get a sense too of this book. I think really it's worth taking a look at. Murder by Deed by Marie Cox. And I'm going to read you a couple of chapters. Let me start off with the prologue. By the light of the full moon, the teen emerged from the woods and quickly found his way across the short clearing to a spot he had scouted out earlier last month, and to which he had eagerly returned on more than one occasion. Always alone, of course. Always. He was known pretty much everywhere as the loner and preferred it that way. People got in the way with all their rules and laws of behavior. He preferred his own way. Here at the Overlook's edge, he had a clear view of the ocean, completely unobstructed and well suited for his sole objective. A short distance below, he heard the familiar and titillating sound, the spout spray of a whale. Perfect. For the 3rd time this evening, the teen checked his load. All set. The teen expertly aimed a shotgun at the whale and smiled in anticipation. Softly, he said, "This is fun." From the woods behind and somewhere off to the right side of him, a disembodied voice asked, "Is it now?" Startled, he quickly turned to see a shotgun aimed at him, but he could not clearly see who was holding it. The moon's helpful light was now obscured behind a wispy cloud. Who are you?" the teen stuttered as he strained to see the figure. He heard a soft laugh. "You come here often, don't you?" the voice asked from the darkness. The teen started to raise his shotgun. Not a smart move," the voice cautioned. Shaken, the teen obediently lowered his gun. He felt a warmth trickle down the front of his pants, but he was too afraid to feel anything close to even embarrassment or shame. His fear this moment was moving closer and closer to sheer terror. "What do you want?" "I want to have some fun, too," the voice replied, mimicking the teen's Boston accent. "Shooting whales?" the boy shakily asked, already sure of the answer. "No, shooting you." Before the boy could respond or even react, the shotgun rang out. The boy stumbled back, dropped his own shotgun, and grabbed his stomach. He slowly dropped to the ground. The voice now became a dark figure which approached the fallen teen. The shotgun was still leveled at the boy. "Why?" the boy stammered out, horrified at the sight of his own blood. "Exactly. Why?" the voice echoed. Those were the last words the boy heard before he passed out. Now, Chapter 1 takes place in Cleveland 2 years later. The figure walked through the well-kept barn. Yes, this would do. This would do nicely, the figure thought, and walked with calm purpose back to the car, quickly unlocking the occupied trunk. The woman's eyes were wide open in terror. The figure coolly ignored her and reached for the bag beside her. "I'll be back soon, and then it's all about you," the figure cruelly promised before closing the trunk again. The figure returned to the barn with the bag. The bag was opened, and a coil of rope, duct tape, and 4 metal pegs were removed and placed in one particular stall. Then the figure methodically placed each peg in opposite corners of the stall, cut and secured a length of rope to each, and pounded the pegs into the ground. The stall was almost ready for its final occupant. The figure walked back to the car. Off to the right were 3 does, leisurely walking through the plowed field. The figure smiled in pleasure and briefly stopped to watch. "Ah, you're beautiful, beautiful," the figure softly murmured. As the sun began to set across the farmland, the figure unlocked the trunk once more. The woman had by now shifted onto her side. Feeling neglected, the figure mockingly asked and deftly looped an arm through the woman's tied arms behind her back, harshly jerking her to a sitting position on the trunk's edge. The woman frantically started to struggle, and the figure simply allowed the woman to fall backwards out of the trunk onto the ground. "Well, at least you're out of the trunk, eh?" the figure chuckled. The barn was only about 50 feet away from the car. Oh, I've got a guest back here. The figure returned to the barn for the rest of the rope, confident that the falling woman would not escape. Her feet were tightly bound with duct tape. No escape for her. The figure returned and looped some rope through the woman's arms and tied a tug line. Then the figure began to drag the woman through the barn into the carefully prepared stall. Everybody's a critic. The bound woman continued to struggle to no avail. Her lips strained against the duct tape. "Is that the best you can do?" the figure mocked. The figure then reached into the bag, brought out a rag and bottle. The bottle was opened, and the rag was lightly sprinkled with some liquid. The figure approached the woman. "Don't worry, this won't kill you," promised the figure. The rag was held over the woman's nose, and she lost consciousness rather quickly. The figure then secured her arms and legs to the ropes in the stall, making sure there would be no escape. Then the figure walked to the next stall and pushed the already prepared wheelbarrow to the woman's feet. "Now for the final touch," the figure laughed with anticipation. At that moment, the woman's eyelids began to flutter. "Ah, perfect timing," the figure remarked, and began to steadily shovel the contents of the wheelbarrow onto the woman. I think I'll stop there. If that's got your attention, go to Amazon.com, put in Murder by Deed, and up you'll see Marie Cox's e-novel on Kindle called Murder by Deed. You can sample before you buy a few more chapters than what I just read. And if you like it, go ahead and buy it. Again, you don't need Kindle software. You can download free Kindle software to your laptop and your PC. And the author would very much appreciate any constructive comments or criticisms on the part that includes reviews on Amazon. I hope you enjoy the novel. I sure did. And with that, I'll end this and shoot it off to YouTube. Take care.